Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to talk about getting out of a rut, because I've been in a rut for probably the past 3-4 weeks, right? And I've seemed to have just found myself out of the rut. And I wanted to try and analyze what happened there. How did I get out of the rut? Because I didn't seem to do it consciously, it kind of just happened. And why is that the case? Because I think that's what ends up happening in life, is that you try and try so hard to do something and you fail. And then you don't try and suddenly you succeed. And why is that the case? Well, why was I in the rut in the first place? Well, a rut is essentially the result of burnout, right? You end up being burnt out and that puts you into a rut. They're two very similar concepts, right? Burnout is you've worked too hard, you've done too much, and you've exhausted yourself mentally, physically, psychologically, right? And a rut is kind of the consequences of that. So because you are burnt out mentally, psychologically, and physically, that means that you are more tired, you're a little bit more slow-paced with things, and you can't really do what you were doing before. Like, for instance, back in November, December, stuff like that, I was going out filming at like 8 in the morning, and then I would come back, and then I would do the editing, and then I would go back out, and then I would come back, and then I would go out and see some friends after that. And so every day was packed to the brim, right? And I was sort of on top of the world for quite a long time, until about March. And I started to notice that it was going downhill, right? Each day was becoming a little bit less action-packed, and yet I was becoming more tired as a result of it. And I was questioning, why is this happening? What's going on with me? Why am I not able to do the things that I was able to do just a few months ago? Is it like I'm getting old? Well, I'm not old, so it can't be that. What, I've aged like 20 years and 3 months? Not the case. So what is going on? Why is it that I'm trying to do things that I was seemingly able to do completely fine before, and yet now I'm struggling with them? Well, I think it is the result of doing too much in too short a space of time, right? And it's all about balancing yourself. You need to take care of yourself in a personal and comforting sort of sense. You can't spend your entire time working, right? And I end up doing that. I work quite a lot, right? I like to think of myself as a lazy workaholic. You can go past, it's totally fine. It sort of helps for the video as well, because people walking past adds dynamics and stuff. Anyway, I like to think of myself as a bit of a lazy workaholic, as in I spend a lot of time thinking about working. I don't take much time to think about relaxing. I don't, after I finish these videos, I don't sit down and play video games all day. I haven't played a video game for about 2-3 years, right? And I'd love to get back into them. I'd love to start watching TV shows again and proper investing my time into a full story arc. I'd love to do all this sort of stuff. I'd like to spend more time seeing my friends and all this, but I just don't have the time because I'm putting so much into working, and I'm piling so many tasks onto my to-do pile, right? That my to-do pile is growing faster than I can get through it, right? And it feels like it's constantly growing despite me constantly working on it, right? So despite me sort of pushing it down, it's kind of doing that, right? So it's getting away from me, right? And that feeling of everything getting away from you can cause burnout, and then burnout, as I said, causes a rut. So if you are in a rut, right, suddenly it's not like that anymore. Now it's just kind of like that, a very smooth motion. You're not putting resistance on that to-do pile anymore, right? So you're in this rut, and the fact that the to-do pile is constantly growing is not helping with your rut. It's making the rut worse, if anything. It's making you feel overwhelmed, and it's making you feel like you can't get anything done because there's so much coming at you at once, right? There were times in the past couple of weeks when I've been in this rut where people would message me, and I'm just kind of like, oh, God, just another bastarding fucking thing to do on my endless to-do pile. Can you just fuck off? And I was like, I don't actually want them to just fuck off, They're telling me important things. They're trying to invite me out, or they're trying to provide me with some kind of opportunity for work here. So I should be more thankful for these things. And yet, because I'm in this rut, because I was in this burnout phase, right, I'm unable to work to my maximum capacity, right? And I think what's important is to forgive yourself for these things, right? Because you are your body, you are your mind, you are your soul. You aren't this upper being that observes you doing the things and is able to comment and judge them. You are that thing. You are your brain, you are your body, you are your spirit and your mind, right? And you are the thing that propels you forwards into your trajectory to success, right? You are the person that goes to work and comes back and goes back and comes back, right? You are the person that works on your little side hustle. You are the person that works on your hobby. If you want to write a book or you want to make some art, you're the person that does that. You don't sit and watch you do it and judge yourself for it. You do it, right? So and even though it might feel like there is a separation, right? Because you are able to comment on your own ability so fluidly and easily, at the same time, you are that person. You are the thing that is burnt out. You are the person that does the work. You are the person that has the highest highs and the lowest lows, and you are the person that experiences all of those, right? So to get out of this rut, I think that's not on its own isn't going to solve it. That's not going to be the thing that solves it. And the thing is, I'd love to be able to say, eat healthier, go to the gym, do all of this sort of stuff. The kind of bog standard advice that they tell you to get yourself out of a rut or to uplift yourself. Everyone knows you should eat healthy, eat your vegetables and get some protein in you and all that sort of stuff. It's important, obviously, right? And yet, getting out of this rut, I didn't do any of that. In fact, I think what I did was just ate at all. Because I'm not a big eater, I don't eat very much. I realized that I hadn't properly eaten in about 3 days. Obviously I'd ate a bit, but I had a bowl of cereal in the morning and then I went all the way until 11 p.m. And then, I had a packet of crisps and then I went to bed. And I woke up the next day and I had 2 slices of toast with some Marmite, and that was basically my meal for the day. So I had one day where I had a massive, massive bowl of rice and chicken with some peas and veg and onions and stuff sprinkled in, some courgette, right? And that was lovely. Right? So I had that, and because of all the protein and stuff that's in there, obviously, I think that gave me a little bit of a energy boost. And I used that energy boost to my advantage. So I spent the day where I had that energy boost eating as healthily as I could. I had some Greek yogurt with some, granola and, honey and chia seeds and all that sort of stuff. And then had some salmon on toast. I always love that. And that always tends to get me up and at it, because I'm eating healthily, right? And because I put myself in a position where I had the energy to, do the cooking and to do the extra little effort to have those healthier meals, as opposed to, I know that they say, there's no excuse for not eating healthily, but at the end of the day, it's an awful lot easier to just say, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to sling this frozen pizza in the oven. Oh, fuck it, I'm just going to have a couple slices of toast with some Marmite today because I can't be bothered to make a full meal, right? It's very easy to do those things. But if you can get yourself in that one position where you can have those proper meals, you can bolster yourself into a position where you can do it again and again and again and get yourself out of that rut. And I think that's what I did. I don't know. That's one possible cause, but I don't actually know. The thing is, I don't know what got me out of the rut. I wish I did, because then I could just repeat it. But the thing is, say I did know that, right? Not every rut is the same. This has been a rut of physical exertion and physical exhaustion, right? But sometimes a rut is caused by psychological trauma, right? Maybe you're going through issues at home with your family. Maybe, I don't know, you're dealing with alcoholism or drug abuse within your family or your friends or something like that you're having to deal with. And that is causing you grief inside and from within, right? So if you're dealing with that, then just eating healthily and fucking going out isn't gonna fucking sort that. So how do you get yourself out of a rut? Well, only you can answer that question. Only you know how you can get yourself out of a rut, because you know you. I don't know you. I don't know who you are. You do know who you are better than anybody else, and nobody can tell you how to get yourself out of a rut. Nobody can tell you how to get back on your feet. Only you can. And by the same token, nobody can knock you down apart from you, right? Obviously though, that doesn't fully clock, because say if you're having a great time of it, right? And then I come along and I'm like, yeah, mate, I'm just going to tell you this thing that's just going to completely ruin your day, right? I'll just give you a bit of news, right, that you didn't want to hear, right? And then it's stuck in your head and you're thinking about it, right? That is an external thing that has caused you to have some kind of emotional reaction that is now putting you back into that burnout rut space, right? Because a rut doesn't necessarily have to be caused by burnout. So this rut that I'm talking about as an example isn't caused by the burnout and the physical exertion. This is instead caused by the emotional traumatic response to bad information that has been fed to you from an external source. So in those sort of situations, there is no amount of healthy eating and going out into the woods is going to sort that for you, right? And no amount of forcing yourself through it is going to solve it either. If you force yourself through it, then you're just going to be dealing with the emotional response trauma and the physical exertion burnout, which leads to, let's call it double rut. And the more that you pile on various emotional weight and physical weight and tasks to do and things to think about, psychological stuff in the head that you're worrying about, because we all have various worries going on in our heads. You know, oh, is this person that I like doing okay? They seem like they're having a hard time of it. Or, oh, in my household, there's like people that are kind of causing a few issues, or maybe they're going down deep rabbit holes that I don't want them to go down, or maybe there's alcoholism in the family, or whatever, anything like that, which is causing you stress. Anything like that can at the same time cause a rut because it's getting you down. You're surrounded by so much negativity. How are you supposed to deal with that? Well, I don't have all the solutions for you. You're gonna have to figure a lot of these things out for yourself. But the reason I say that is because, again, only you know how to get yourself out of these things. You will figure it out for yourself, right? However, it's not gonna be repeatable. You have to solve it every single time in a unique sense. But the more that you do it, the more that you'll understand patterns between things, right? So, for instance, I remember when I was sort of about 17, right? I was jealous of a friend who, they were just doing really well. They'd gotten a job, right, that paid like 25K a year, which at the time, that seemed like mental amounts of money, right? And I was really jealous of them because they were buying loads of video games. They were going out on the town, you know, spending like £150 on like treating all the friends and stuff. And I was eating the food that this guy had bought for me out of the kindness of his heart. I'm thinking, oh, you motherfucker, you've got all this stuff and I don't. Well, it's so annoying. And I was like, you don't really deserve this job. You don't work any harder than me. In fact, I'm doing more hours, doing more physical, strenuous activity than you. How is it that this has worked? You're not a stupid person, but I don't see how you're so intelligent that you're able to get to this position so easily, right? And that's all bad stuff to think. I was in the wrong to think all of that, right? And I managed to solve it. I knew in my own brain that it was stupid, that it was pointless, that I was in the wrong here. And yet it didn't make my response feel any better. I still had the same emotional reaction, right? But I was able to solve it within my brain. And so now, when that kind of thing happens again, it's not been an issue. I can immediately quell and quash that emotional response because I've dealt with that thing before. And so if you deal with a lot of things, you're going to be able to deal with new things that are in the same genre breed. Because with that example of a good friend getting a good job, that's going to happen all over the place, right? Now I'm in the stage of my life where all my friends are getting married, right? And I'm thinking like, oh, you motherfuckers, you're all getting married, right? But I know that I've dealt with that before in a different context, so I'm able to immediately quell that jealousy in my brain and instead just be happy for them, right? Because dealing with things in life gives you more ammunition to deal with further things to come in the future, right? And so how do you get yourself out of a rut, right? I would say the best way to do that is to understand yourself. If you can understand yourself, you can understand yourself in different contexts and different situations, and you know how to solve those different contexts and different situations, and to solve anything that comes at you. So I think that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you got something out of this. Let me know your thoughts. Are you currently burnt out? Are you currently in a rut? Have you gotten yourself out of ruts before? I imagine you have, because we've all gone through ruts, right? How did you do it? How did you get yourself out of a rut? Please let me know in the comments, because I'd love to get myself out of any ruts to come in the future. Did this advice help you out? Did it not? Let me know why. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. Yeah.